Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back or welcome for the first time to the Electric Vibe podcast. I am none other than Kurt Hoffman, your co host, and to my left is none other than
J. David Silva. Kurt, you know I'm the electric man.
absolutely Electric Man. We got a 2-for-1 today, man. This is a every episode we do is special and important, and this one is no less than any other one that we've done here. Tell us who we've got today, please.
Sure, Kurt. Be happy to. And as the second entry in our Vibe 25 series for 2025, we're welcoming two friends of the podcast, two stalwarts in the field of executive protection, Harlan Hucky Austin and Big Coco. Now, many of our viewers and listeners know these two gentlemen as protectors of music superstar Prince. But both of these men should be renowned for their expertise in executive protection and their no nonsense, serious, and practical approach to their craft, guarding and protecting not only celebrities but also dignitaries and private citizens as well. So we're going to be talking about that and so much more as we welcome Hucky Austin and Big Coco to the Electric Vibe podcast. We've
Yeah.
already recorded.
Mr. Hucky Austin and Mr. Big Coco, thanks for coming on the Electric Vibe podcast. Gentlemen, how do we find you this fine evening? Or afternoon in your case, Coco.
Huh. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. I
Very interesting.
okay, I get it. It's been a rough couple weeks with a lot of stuff going on. I know we were originally supposed to do this uh, interview with the both of you a week or so ago, and due to the LA fires, a lot of stuff, strange stuff, was going down to say the least. Can you give us an update on how
No,
some of your friends are doing? I know it's a touchy subject.
it's very very bad. Unfortunately, I went through the same thing in 2001. I lost my house to electrical fire.
Ooh.
So not only do I understand it, but I've never recovered. I've still never recovered to this day. So I understand what's happening. Uh,
Mm.
in some of the guys' cases, is some of the best things that could have happened to them as far as them getting newer stuff and new things and you know shutting down stuff where they were and needed to leave and move anyway. And a lot of them have moved towards Las Vegas and areas like that where it's much more affordable, So a lot of them are actually doing better, believe it or not. But some of them are just, distraught, man, just unbelievable living in, hotels and living with family members and stuff like that.
Yeah, the ravages and devastation and the footage that we see on TV doesn't hold literally does not hold a candle to the actual mass devastation that's happened. And our hearts go out to anybody and everybody who's out there.
Absolutely.
You can never imagine your whole neighborhood being gone.
No,
You just can't imagine nothing like that.
no. I know back in what was it, 2012. My brother lives out in Colorado Springs, Colorado area, and him and my mother was living with them at the time, and my nephew and my sister in law had to evacuate when the fires happened in near Colorado Springs, Colorado. It was absolutely terrifying for them. And they had to stay at one of the local high schools, and it's just but their house did not somehow some miracle house did not burn down, but so many people on the other side of Interstate 25 there in Colorado really got hit bad. So
I
it's
found it
it's
even more amazing that in the rubble, a fireman passed me a jacket and said, "Man, this jacket didn't burn." And it happened to be my Diamonds and Pearls World Tour Prince jacket.
what.
It did not burn in the fire.
Shoot.
Smells
Oh,
like smoke and got a lot of the symbols and stuff on there. And, some of the wording is darker, but I'm afraid to take it to the cleaners because I don't want it to, be damaged, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like I'm scared to bother it. I'm scared to touch it. I don't want to clean it. I don't want to do nothing to it.
yeah.
It's five that fire. I figure leave it alone.
It's had enough ish going on for it. I get it. Yes.
Exactly.
Hucky, sir, how do we find you this evening?
Cold, extremely cold.
Yeah, it is here
More
too,
than you
man.
guys can ever imagine. It's 10 below zero right now, and that's without wind chill. How about
Oof.
that?
Is it keeping the bad people out, like Prince used to say?
It does not work, believe me. There's plenty
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on still. People adapt now, you know what I'm saying? That's
Oof.
that's those
No,
days are
no,
gone
we
where the cold
don't.
weather
No,
kept them out.
it's cold here, but it's 50.
Yeah, Coco, that is not cold. All right, so yeah,
It is
see you
cold.
got
You
your
see me,
scarf
right?
on and
You see what I
everything
got
too.
on,
Like you probably got your heat
bruh.
warmer on too in your car seat.
Man, the car is running, bruh.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Now
Yeah, it's
you're in Las Vegas, correct there, Coco? You've been there for a minute, about what, 15,
cold.
17 years?
Yes, I've been here since 2006.
Okay. Wow, we're
I
almost
actually
coming
came
up
out here. I came out here with Prince when he was doing the residency at the Rio. So I
3121.
decided, yeah, so I decided to move here after that, and he decided to leave.
If memory serves, doing our homework on you, that was when he couldn't trust the security there because equipment was being stolen and what have you.
His equipment got stolen because the Rio chose to leave his equipment outside. So his equipment got stolen, and he said he just really didn't like the vibes, and he was like, he's not coming back. So he'll let
Okay.
other people perform, and that's what happened.
Wow. Now, did you handle the when Will I Am and Michael Jackson apparently came to one of the shows? Were you involved in all that?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
I think
Michael Jackson, that would have been Bill Whitfield at the time.
it's always
Got it.
interesting, Coco and Hucky, hearing those types of stories. And I know we're gonna get into a whole bunch of that. A lot of the back end stories. But can we talk first a little bit about your all's reputation and your friendship together?
Please.
Coco, how did we meet,
Well,
man? You remember?
you, you met a real football player from the University of Texas, and you went and told Prince, and Prince said, "Oh, he needs to be with us."
Yeah, I don't quite remember it that way. Boomer Sooner. I'm gonna get it in there real quick. Anyway.
Well, actually, I was part of a security company that did video and movie security in LA, and we were on the set of Diamonds and Pearls
Was it
in
at the train
downtown.
station?
Yes, sir, Union Station.
Yeah, okay.
And he was doing Diamonds and Pearls
Wow.
and Cream.
Mm.
And because he was doing Diamonds and Pearls live, actually live, the video was done actually live, like a concert,
Out
on
on
the
the steps.
steps of City Hall.
Right.
So, we were there to keep all of the homeless and, people like that, because like I said, he's doing a live concert at 2 o'clock in the morning.
How
And
many people gathered for that?
because it was so early in the morning, I would probably say a little less than 100, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember there being very many people out there. Most
No,
of the people was in production.
right. It was a really full scale production. There was a lot of extras, like that. So it was like that around. People had extra birthday friends and stuff like that.
So
It
Coco, what
wasn't
I
really a lot
remember,
of people, so it
some
really wasn't a lot.
somehow we connected. We had a good vibe there, and I started saying, "Hey, man, why don't you come and do some more gigs or something like that?" I remember you even coming to Minnesota. The guys were asking me, when was the last time you were in Minnesota? And I was like, I think it's been years. But weren't you working for what was that guy, Candyman, or something like that? And you came to Minnesota,
Yeah, I've been.
huh?
Yeah, I actually came to Minnesota like towards the last part of when I was working for him, '94. I kind of stayed in the back for about
Yeah.
three and a half months. I stayed there on property.
And you
He
never
was
called
doing a
me?
lot of production and
Excuse me, you never called me? Wow.
okay. Well, I mean, fault that to I don't know. Um, I don't know what was going on with you at that time, man. You know, but that was some last minute stuff. But I was there. I was there for a while.
Okay.
So that was the last time. But then I've come through a couple of times. I've come through with Candy and Mac 10 and people like that.
So, guys, Coco didn't think it ever got hot in Minnesota. And I'm like, no, it does get warm. And I remember when he came there with Candy, it feels like that was 91, Coco. And I just remember you
That
was
was
like,
91. That was before I was with Prince.
yeah. And I just remember you was like, oh my God, I didn't know it got this hot here. I'm like, yeah, yeah, it gets hot and it gets cold, like now.
And
Right. It got
speaking for
very hot.
Jay and myself, we've only been there when it gets warm. So, you know.
Well, you're more than welcome to come now and embrace the winter with me.
I lived in Cadillac, Michigan back in the 70s. I know cold. So, yeah.
Uh-uh.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
since
that
we
was that was that was some unbelievable stuff. Snow days and all that kind of stuff. That was unbelievable. I had never been through anything like that.
So, your first experience in Minnesota, Coco, was that the first time you experienced snow, or did you experience it somewhere else?
The first time I experienced snow, when I was playing football, we went to Nebraska. That
Oh,
was that was the first time I experienced actual snow, and I just could not believe people lived in this stuff.
shoot. So, what position did you play when you were in college?
I was an outside linebacker.
Oh, nice.
Yes, sir. Great shape. Great shape.
Well,
Great shape,
fitness.
wrong school.
5'11" and a half, 180 pounds.
Oh man.
Man, yes, sir.
So since we have you both here, and I know obviously you're friends and bonded over, both football players, but can you talk about, and Hucky, this is something that you and I had touched base on when we had you on the show the first time, the bond or the brotherhood between protectors. What is that like? Because you had shared with us that it is a brotherhood with the people that you're working with.
So I was telling you guys earlier in the green room, there's a story that I want to share, but I'm just not 100% on how accurate it is. But I feel like, and Coco doesn't really remember, so that's why I'm not really going into detail. But to have somebody that you can count on, no matter what goes down, is is what this industry is all about. And I can say that about Coco. When he worked with me, I had no reservations on anyone watching my back. This man did his job, and he was fearless. He's a warrior. And so, you hang around like-minded people, and Coco will probably agree. Not everyone in the industry has that mentality, but the ones that do are certainly the people that you want to have in your network. Because I mean, when you think about it, you're putting your life on the line to protect somebody. You know, the hope is that it never gets there, but there are times where that's part of the job.
Yeah, you really don't want to do protection with someone you don't know,
Right.
because it can come down to a point where it's him or you or the person you protecting. And if that guy's heart is not in it, then you're doing your job overtime, because now you're protecting him and the person you're protecting and yourself. So you want to have a bond of group of dudes that you really, really know what they're doing, have done it, have been in the trenches before. You really don't want to be with rookies. I mean, it's a lot into it when it comes to protecting somebody, because once again, you want to make sure that they're going to not only have your back, but they're going to do their job, and their job is to protect whoever we're assigned to. So you always want to make sure that you're with, some guys or yourself. You always want to make sure that you brought on somebody that is going to handle
And,
that business.
And also too, Jay, well before social media, your
Mm,
reputation was everything. And so if you worked with a guy and he got a good reputation, you did everything to make sure that you kept him around. And that's really how Coco and I connected. But, it doesn't take long to figure out who you can trust and who's for real. It just takes a little bit of working with somebody, and then you can start figuring out.
Who's who? Yeah.
Hucky, we've covered your background extensively when we had you on for the first time. Coco, this is your first time with us here, and I just want to thank you again for your time sharing your life
no
experiences
problem.
with us. You having grown up in Crenshaw, and
Mm,
really you are a treasure trove when it comes to the life experiences and the people that you worked with in East
mm,
in this in the early days of West Coast hip hop pre
yeah,
Egyptian, we're talking the days of Egyptian Lover,
yes, sir.
Dre,
I
and
just got
before
off the
six.
phone with him.
Really cool.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
you
yeah. Okay.
you
Go ahead.
I was going to say you came with this background when you and Hucky first met, with this extensive background of working with guys like Cube,
Hmm.
working with guys like Ice T, and we're talking pre 6 in the morning. And
Okay.
as we all know, gangster rap started near where I lived, which is Philadelphia, with Schoolie D and PSK, Parkside Killers. Which, if you
Hmm.
do your homework, that's where he got 6 in the morning from. That's the
Exactly.
East. So
Yep.
you know, Schoolie D, got to
Good.
shout out
Good
Schoolie
info.
D because he's
Yes,
the
sir.
OG.
Right.
But you you grew up in this culture, and you more than anybody understand the code, the honoring street code and honoring loyalty. How did that inform you going on to becoming an executive protector?
Well, believe it or not, a lot of music guys, music executives, rappers, singers, a lot of them were in the streets. They were street entrepreneurs. We'll
Mm-hmm.
call it that.
Yeah,
Street entrepreneurs, street pharmacists. And, you know, a lot of them were around my neighborhood, around neighborhoods around my neighborhood. So I would be interacting with them on certain basis. I was actually a DJ, and I
yeah.
started out as a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
So from me being a DJ with Uncle Jam's Army and people like that, I was on stage and I could see stuff. And people like Ice T and people like King T and Mixmaster Spade, and a lot of guys who had started the West Coast hip hop movement would recognize me as far as doing security with Big West and Suge Knight and Navy, Tui Supo and Big Pete. A lot of these guys who were football players who started being bodyguards for these young rappers and for these street guys. Once the street guys really got into the music, like the NWAs and Easy E and people like
Mm-hmm.
that, they recognized me as Coco, the security dude. I actually went to college, a security college, and got all my, certificates and stuff so I could carry a gun and stuff like that. So I was like the professional
Right.
security dude who actually came from the streets. So that kind of like let me in that way.
So you combine this synthesis of book smarts and street smarts, and
Definitely.
yeah, I mean, and I tell you, man, any interview I've watched you do, you have a charisma on top of that, which you could
Thank you,
play
sir.
whatever side of the fence you needed to play on, whether you had to pop and lock your way out of a situation, or DJ out of a situation, or what have you. Uh,
Oh
which
yeah,
gave
you've done your homework, huh?
sir, we don't like to be amateurs when we have pros like yourselves coming on. So we try to keep it
Man, I appreciate
as
it. I appreciate it.
100,
listen,
right?
it's a big deal to have you and Huck on together like this, because you guys, you know we don't take for granted who you've protected. And, in the estimation on your TikTok video you shared on part 3 of the 40 odd people that just came popping in your head, I mean, you're all over the map when it comes to people that you've protected.
Well, I
And
mean, when I go into the training part of executive protection, when I do a training and I tell guys, you're not wanting to be one dimensional when it comes to protection. You want to be able to protect the CEO, of Yahoo. You want to be able to protect the vice president of the window company. You want to be able to protect uh, Deborah Lee, the ex-CEO of BET. You know what I mean? You want to have different styles of protection, but the bottom line is you want to make sure everybody gets back home safe.
and like I've said to Hucky before, Hucky, we've shared that, when you were on the Purple Rain tour, that was like a moon mission. And if the Revolution and Prince were the astronauts, you guys were part of mission control. And that is no less the case for you. You guys were in pivotal places in his career and his trajectory. Hucky, you were in an unprecedented cultural moment. And
that
then
part, let's not forget that part. Let's not forget that part.
Yep. Right.
That part Hucky had in his head.
Oh.
The world famous part.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what scared everybody off. It wasn't Big Chick. It was the part in Hucky's head.
Called it the JFK, man.
Man, that part. I do want to say this, man, while we got Hucky on here, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been with Prince if it wasn't for Hucky.
Right.
Bottom line. I know Hucky had to have some words, between him and Gilbert. They had to have some words between him and Dwayne. It had to be because Hucky said, hey, man, let's bring this dude on. So if it wasn't for Hucky, I would not have any Prince stories whatsoever.
So
Thank
you
you,
mentioned
Hucky.
2 names here, Gilbert Davidson, who, like Hucky, you brought Gilbert brought you on Hucky, or was it the other way around?
I brought Gilbert on.
You brought Gilbert on, right? That's
Yeah,
it.
me and
Okay.
Gilbert were college teammates at a junior college here in southern Minnesota, and that's how I met Gilbert.
Got it.
Another
And
situation where I got jumped. So people are going to start wondering, why were you always getting jumped? But anyway, Gilbert had my back.
so Gilbert Davidson, and then you mentioned Dwayne Coco. That's Dwayne Nelson. That's Prince's half brother. Can you talk
Yeah.
about the relationship dynamic between those two? You first
Well,
coming on?
Dwayne was kind of like the elder statesman. Nobody knew Prince better than Dwayne. So if you had a question, if you needed to know something, or if there was a situation where Prince wanted something done, Dwayne could tell you how to do it or show you how to do it so that it was done the way Prince wanted it. So, Dwayne was that elder statesman. He was the finger pointer. He was he called me Terminator. He would say, Terminator, we need you to go do this. Or, Terminator, let me show you how to do this. This is how he wants it done. Go buy this or something like that. It was Dwayne that was the elder statesman.
So you had a nickname already, but at that time, Terminator. So you
Yeah.
graduated from One Punch to Terminator.
Well, between Dwayne and Gilbert, they helped polish me so that One Punch didn't have to surface.
But One Punch was always there if needed.
One Punch is still always there.
You know what, Kurt? I want to follow up on that.
Please.
Oh my goodness.
I talked a couple of times in person, and then when you were on our podcast last time, we started talking about the practical aspect of protection. Because what the public sees is, they might think it's all glitz, glam, and it's rock and roll and all of this. And obviously back during the Purple Rain years, it was a very um, visual presence. We would see you guys with the black t-shirts and the white suspenders, and there was Big Chick. But you broke it down, and maybe you can just give us a little short synopsis on the actual sometimes tedium of being a protector, the actual practical what you go through on a daily basis. I think you said it's 99% boredom and was it 1% sheer terror, I think. Can we, 'cause
Yeah.
Right.
And you
30 is 30 minutes of rock and roll.
and you're constantly preparing for that 1%. And so
Mm.
really with executive protection, to be successful is you're constantly preparing for what if scenarios all day long. And Coco will tell you that, whether we're in the studio with someone or you're at a boardroom, you're constantly preparing for different scenarios that could come up. That's really what executive protection is all about. It's about the art of being prepared, and it's not like what you see on Hollywood, when they portray these guys that are these other than Coco, these big monsters and stuff out there. But it's really it is brains over bronze. It's a
Mm.
thinking person's game, and a lot of people don't quite understand that. Contrary to popular belief, Jay, we want to do everything we can to avoid a confrontation, because if you do that, then you lose. You put your principle in jeopardy,
Right.
and you lose. The whole idea, the whole objective is to make sure that that never ever happens. And so you will hear people in the industry talking about doing advanced work, and advanced work really is, the art of making sure that we know what to expect before we get there.
So we've asked you this, Hucky. You speak about advance work, and I've asked you about, you actually on the day that you're with an artist like Prince or another important figure that you're covering. Coco, with the different aspects of executive protection, what did you prefer doing? Advanced work or the of the moment of the day work, or did it not matter to you?
Well, I mean, believe it or not, I actually did it all.
Hmm.
I would do advanced, I would do personal or what they call up close,
Right.
and I would do the grunt work, which would be the after. I would go back and make sure that there was nothing left in the dressing rooms, there was nothing left, on stage, not anything like that. I did that all. Actually, when I was with Prince, the very first beginning, I was the advanced man. I was the guy who went to the club first and made sure it was cool, or I went to the venue first to make sure the way that we're going to go from the dressing room to the stage was
Hmm.
clear. Make sure underneath the stage was clear. Make sure in front of the stage was clear. Um, Advance work, if we were going to go somewhere like in New York, I would go there a day before to make sure that we have a different way to get in and out of the hotel, and make sure he has a place to go get his hair done. And what I mean, I did all of that stuff. So for me, I just looked at that as a day in the life as a bodyguard.
Right. So what necessarily people think of a bodyguard on the job description was a hell of a lot more than what would be on quote unquote paper. You
Yeah,
were
because
asked to do all kinds of stuff.
you got a lot of guys who are technically just buddy guards. They're people's buddies. They're really big guys who've never really had a fight, and they never had to because they're so big. People look at them and be intimidated and won't want to try it. So they'll get a job as a bodyguard. But technically, if you ask them anything about advanced work or anything about clearing a stage or, setting up or a club or setting up anything like that, they'll be like, huh, what?
Did you
No,
experience that
they.
one with MC Hammer? I asked that
When I
directly
was with
because
Hammer,
yeah,
when I was with Hammer, I was a backup. Hammer had four bodyguards, and me and Suge Knight
Suge
were the
Knight.
backups. Right. We were backups to Hammer's actual bodyguards. Hammer was not totally satisfied. So we would do promotion or actually production
Hmm.
uh, it's like production security, which means that was back when they collected the money and the production, manager
Hmm.
would get the money and take it
Sure.
and go to the next city. So we would kind of watch the production manager to make sure nobody jacked him.
Make sure somebody got their bag and safely.
Right. That's what we
Okay.
did. We were like the backstage,
Okay.
patrol guys to make sure nobody came back there and did nothing to the money.
Was that the tour with Vanilla Ice and En Vogue opening up?
The first tour, Don't Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em, was Vanilla Ice
Uh huh.
and In Vogue.
Right.
Then the second leg, because there was three legs of that tour. So we were on 3 months, off 3 weeks, on 3 months, off 3 weeks.
I
So
saw that.
one leg of
Yeah.
the tour, yeah, one leg of the tour was TLC and
Ah.
Michelet,
Oh.
to where
Okay.
Suge was a bodyguard for Michelet on that particular tour.
Okay.
So then they had that tour, and then Vanilla Ice came on again at the last tour, which was Let's Get It Started, and
Right.
Vanilla Ice came back and opened up for that one too.
Yeah. I saw it when y'all did with in Miami. I saw that tour in Miami in 90 91. Yeah, with Vanilla Ice and En Vogue opening up. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was some entertaining stuff. I'm gonna tell you.
Man, loud, very loud,
Oh, I remember.
very loud,
Hucky, let me ask you, and you obviously have
very loud.
you've trained protectors, you've done classes, things like that. What's the first thing that you look for when someone says, "I want to be a protector"?
Mm,
Um, you have to have a passion for people. Um, and you have to realize that this is really part of customer service as well, too. And people might say customer service, but as Coco said earlier, if you listen to him, you're doing more than just protecting people.
mm-hmm.
And over the years, I've heard people say stuff like, there's no way that I would carry somebody's bags. There's no way that I would go back and clean out a dressing room or a hotel suite. And I'm certain there's guys like that will stick to their guns. But, you know, the honest answer is that if you're unwilling to do those type of things, then you won't be working long,
Mm.
not for people in the entertainment industry anyway.
When
But
you're
I try to find somebody, to me, the best protectors are people that are observant, calm, and level headed. Over the years, and Coco will tell you this as well, you come across big guys that are hot headed and their temperament is just not mild. And, I try to stay away from people like that. And I try to,
Right,
uh, avoid getting them into this industry because I've seen so many of those type of individuals over the years that have caused their clients a lot of problems. But a good
right,
protector is what we call a gray man. You should just pretty much be a shadow in the background, not bringing any attention to yourself, whether it's your actions or even your appearance sometimes. You just want to blend in. It's not about you, it's about the people that we protect. But to answer your question, OJ, I mean, really, it's somebody that's just a mild tempered, calm individual because I feel real confident that people that have that type of mindset are going to make good decisions.
Have you had those individuals that you've had to recommend, hey, this profession might not be for you? You have to have that very frank conversation with them.
Yeah, I have honest conversations with people all the time. I have a website, bodyguardcareers.com, and I get hundreds of emails a week. I get emails from guys that's
Mm.
like, I'm 6'8", 350 pounds. I used to play college football. Okay, that's great.
So,
Right,
so,
exactly, Coco, So it's much more. And like I said earlier, it's brains over bronze. This is a thinking occupation. And what people often see is only the physical presence, but they don't really see the work that goes behind protecting someone. There's a lot of work that's being done.
mm,
So what I'm hearing is that the mental toughness is equal or more important to the actual physical toughness that you occasionally have to present when needed. It's the
Yeah, you
mental
certainly have
toughness.
to have mental toughness
more
because
more than
one of the things that Coco didn't share with you is that for most of us, you're going to be a single practitioner. That means you're not going to have a team of protectors with you. And here's what Coco was talking about. He did advanced work. He was on the principal. You're just one person by yourselves. And although it would be wonderful to have the budget to have more people, but you don't. And here's the other thing too, Jay and Kirk, you don't get no
Yeah,
sleep. And
yeah,
so, you're
yep,
functioning on films,
yep,
and oh
yep.
my God, don't have a family. One of the things I tell people that want to get in the business is like, do you
Mm.
have a family? Do you have a wife? Rethink it. Because this industry will take its toll on people who have families.
right.
So
Coco.
the comparison and contrast, Hucky, I remember you sharing with us when you were doing the Purple Rain tour. You had a security team that equaled or exceeded a presidential team.
Mm.
Well,
And by the time we
wait, I don't know if I said that. I mean, the resources that people that are in Pennsylvania Avenue have, it's nothing like any of us could have. But we did
right,
have a very
okay,
large team of protectors
okay,
for an entertainer.
okay. By the time Coco, you get to working with Prince. Now you were you overlapped into that. He had that second that comeback with Diamonds and Pearls in terms of popularity and record sales. But by the
Right.
time you get to the whole strife with Warner Brothers that he has, changing his
Right.
name to the symbol, how did that alter the number
Exactly.
of people working with you? Yeah, that's where I want to get at. How did that change?
It 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 really didn't because he kept the NPG, which was his main band. He kept all of the band members and he kept all of the tech members and that entire production. So he actually literally started doing nightclubs and arenas. So the production actually kind of like moved up a notch because now he was using his symbol as a part of the show. Like he created a light that was his actual name, which is the love symbol. He created
Right.
that as a light. Then he created it as a stage as he used for the Super Bowl. So it
Yeah.
made the production actually get bigger. So when we would go into different countries like Australia and Japan, he's doing arenas and stadiums. So the production actually got bigger
Got it.
even though he wasn't calling himself Prince.
But in terms of the security production team, did that get bigger or did that get smaller?
Well, I'll speak for
Well,
myself. Purple Rain was the largest team that we had.
mm,
After that, it narrowed down, but that was the largest tour that I was a part of.
Right.
Purple Rain was just massive, as you guys know. I
Yep.
mean, it was
Right.
huge. And so, the tours later, I think Coco, maybe you remember. I think we had like about ten security people on, and that was for Prince and the band. And then years later, that number went down to four, two, and,
yeah,
so it just
right.
Purple Rain was just so big, Kirk, that's why the numbers
It
were
was
so big.
actually just me, Dwayne, and Joey for a long time, and then it
Yeah,
was just me, Dwayne, and Big Tracy.
yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
And what that would look like is usually you'd have two people on the principal, which would be Prince, and then you'd have an advanced guy. And so, that's kind of how that worked. And then obviously the advanced guy would meet up with them when they came in to a particular city.
You know what I think, guys? I think it's cool that obviously, and it's very important that you're working with people that want to get into the industry, or you're passing on your knowledge to future protectors. Can we take a step back though, and because I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about your mentors, Big Chick and Big Wes Crockett. Can you just talk a little bit about each of you, about your relationships with the gentleman that mentored you?
Go ahead, Coco. I'll go after you.
okay, please repeat the question.
Yeah, Coco, I was just interested in, obviously you guys you share your wisdom, you share your knowledge, you share your training with other protectors. Can you talk about your relationship with your mentor, like Big Wes, and how how he kind of took you under his wing?
Well, well, as you know, Big Rest is rest in peace right now.
Amen.
Um,
Yes, sir.
he saw me, doing security, or he'll see me jumping off the stage doing wrong, but he saw something in me, and he literally would just kind of like, you know, spoon feed me into people. Like, I got a gig with Patti LaBelle. I'm gonna leave, and I'm gonna leave you with her, and then you just handle it. He would do stuff like that, and I can't replace that. Like, that's just unreplaceable for him to trust me like that. He would say, I'm doing some gigs without him, and he's doing a tour. Uh, I'm gonna be there for the first couple of tours, I mean shows, and then I'm gonna leave you on the rest of the leg. Like, literally, like, he would show me what to do, and then I would just do it. So I can't replace what he did for me. And like I said, a lot of times he would just literally spoon feed me, to artists, and say, I got you. This is Coco, and he gonna have you for the rest of the day, or he gonna got you for the rest of the week, or something like that. So, he would spoon feed me to people, and they just took a liking to me.
Yeah. I want to, Coco said something that just really kind of resonated with me as well too, because Chick was the one, Big Chick, Charles Huntsberry was the one that got me in the protection industry. But like what Coco said about his mentor, he's seen something in me. And I have to tell you that I've been able to do the same thing with people. It's just like, when you watch people and you observe them and see how they go about doing their work, it tells you a lot. It tells you a lot that if you're going to be able to work with them. And so, and really in this industry, if you can't read people, then it's another thing that's probably the wrong industry, because you do have
Mm,
to be able to read people, you know.
right.
And so, but Chick was like more than a mentor. He was really like, my second father. He took Gilbert and myself in, and he had an interesting background. He came from a totally different place, but we were able to meet and connect. There's another guy too, Jay, by the name of Corwin Noble, and he worked for some government agencies, and he was really the one. If Chick got me started, a basic introduction. I mean, Chick basically taught us what he knew, but Chick had only did entertainment security, and as with Corwin worked, with politicians. He worked with CEOs, and he was really the one that helped me to really begin to have a broader understanding of the industry. And you guys heard Coco use the word bodyguard, and being able
Hmm.
to go from being a bodyguard to a real protector. You know,
Speaking of which, you guys and Coco, I'm gonna hopefully I quote paraphrase your quote you correctly. You guys are a dying breed where you actually got to personally know the artist that you were protecting, and more so now in executive protection, it's more of a at a distance, more of a just not a personal relationship. Can you talk about that transition? Uh, that from close protection for a person that you got to know versus the way it works now for a lot of uh, clients that you have or had.
Well, unfortunately, sometimes a person who hires someone to protect them can hire a person that doesn't have their interest in mind, which means that they hire them, they get close to them, they become their friends and their buddies, and then they do something really, really bad
Mm,
that messes it up.
mm,
So because that kind of stuff gets around and people see that and go, oh, well, I'm not going to get that close to anybody that's watching me. I'm going to keep it professional. A lot of times now the clients only want you to speak to them when you're spoken to.
Hmm.
And you know, for me, that's kind of like that's like a no. Like really, I can't like do that. Like just recently, um, I was I was actually working with Janet Jackson, and all of her people around me all kept trying to tell me, you know, don't talk to her, don't say nothing, don't talk to her, don't say nothing. And I was like, what what kind of world are y'all in where y'all don't speak and talk to people? And why wouldn't she want me to be cordial enough to say hello or say good show or anything like that while I'm watching her, you know, backstage area, or I'm watching her production
Right.
and all that? Why wouldn't she want to be, you know? So I know the stories. I've heard the stories. You know, where people say, you know, I got real close to these dudes, and next thing you know, they was messing with my kid's mother, or they did something to one of my kids, or you know, I mean, just a lot of stupid stuff that messes it up for people like me who are very cordial when it comes to a client. Now, I've had clients who have been said to me, hey man, you know, I'm not into, you know, the social stuff and all that blah blah. I just need you to kind of kick back in the you know in the corner back there and just make sure we're good. Hey, that's what you want to pay me for? Okay, no problem.
Hmm.
You know, I've had
Hmm.
clients that actually told me that
Hmm.
because of what they were going through or what they had been through, which was very unfortunate, you know.
So previous bodyguards, they had really bad experiences and got burned on that, and that's why they would. Okay, gotcha.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
There was something that, Coco, I had heard you mention in a previous interview, and Hucky, you and I actually talked about this at dinner when and I were out with you. You both mentioned about how people, other entertainers or other clients, see the security that another artist has, and then they say, "Oh, I want that protector. I want this person to work with me." Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you,
I
when you get a go ahead.
it's really about professionalism and how you carry yourselves, you know. And once again, Coco said earlier about bodyguards. And what happens quite often, Jay and Kirk, is a lot of people, you know, will just hire people that they know, people that are in their network, people that they're
hmm
comfortable with. And quite often, security is usually the job that, oh, I'll just hook up one of my buddies that needs work, you know. And you
Mhm.
can understand how disastrous that can be because if you got people that are not professional in this role, you know, a role of protecting people, you know, you can understand that if you're not properly trained, that bad decisions can be made. And so, I mean, that's what happened. This I tell people that I work with that want to get in the industry, carry yourself like a true professional. And we can show you what that looks like. You know, when I'm training
Mhm.
new individuals, I can show you what it looks like to be a professional. And things are very different now because the generations that are getting into the industry now, the way that they see you, the world is quite different, you know, than what it was when Coco and I were coming through in the 80s and 90s. And I not just protection, I think that all of us will come to an agreement that the world is very different now.
Hmm.
The way that people have relationships with other people, the way that people communicate, it's all different, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, and so to answer your question, I think that that's what happened. I mean, when Gilbert actually was the one that took over for security, the head of security when Chip was no longer working with us. And you may have remembered Chip was it was the bouncer style. We were bodyguards, and Gilbert was really the first one to begin the transition into being a professional. We started wearing suits. Prince loved it. You know, we weren't running around with white suspenders on and cut off T-shirts looking like
Hmm.
thugs. And
Hmm.
so, when people see that and then, the people that they're working with, they're the opposite, there is going to be some intrigue. There is going to be where it's like, well, tell me more about you. What do you do? Where did you go do your training at? So, but it's very different now in the sense because the way that young people see things is very different than how us older people see things.
So uh, probing a little more into that, Hucky and Coco.
Well,
Social
in the
media and cybersecurity. Can we expound a little bit on how that landscape has really changed the game?
Oh,
well,
absolutely.
going back to your question when it comes to the celebrity or the client wanting what the other one has. That's a thing with the rich people, period. Rich people see something, and if they like it, they want it. And in the early 90s, I live in LA. So in LA, that's where all the award shows, and even still now, usually are held at the Shrine Auditorium
Hmm.
or
Staples
at the
Center.
Kodak Theater, places like that. That's where all the award shows were held. So if you had a client that even just wanted to go to the award show, other people will see you. Their bodyguard might have on a sweatsuit and some brand new tennis shoes. You got on a Hugo Boss suit, and they're looking at you like, "Wow, you know, how much does that guy cost? Can we get one of those?" I like that look. And then behind the look, they go, "Oh, well, he's been with plus this, that, this, and this. Oh, okay. Well, how much is he? Can we afford him?" So it goes to what they want, if they can afford what they want, and how bad they want it.
Right.
Now, this cybersecurity online stuff has really totally changed the game, because now you can be a teenager in charge of someone's security
Mm,
and run it from your own house.
mm,
It's changed the game dramatically, because now, even myself, I'm no longer a 335-pound bodyguard. I'm 230 pounds.
all right.
If I put on a suit, they go, "Oh, he must really know what he's doing because he's not that big." It's not a size thing anymore.
Mm,
If you look at major celebrities, none of them have a giant guy with them anymore. Even Snoop Dogg has gotten rid of his giants.
mm,
I think only Floyd Mayweather keeps giants with him. No one
mm,
else has giants anymore,
mm.
because they know that if I can watch a camera, I can secure you.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah,
it's about what I can do from my phone.
yeah. And
If I
also
can
too,
set
I
two
want to
cameras up and stuff like that. Go ahead.
Hmm.
I want to chime in a little bit more about how social media has
Mm-hmm.
really changed the game. I got a true story that I'll share with you. I obviously won't give any names, but we were working with a CEO and his family, and they had planned a vacation to go somewhere. And long story short, we had to cancel the vacation, Kirk, because the 16-year-old daughter, got on social media and started
Oh.
posting where they were going to go.
Oh.
And it kind of like, had a huge impact on, our risk assessment for, the particular island that we were going. So we had to cancel or postpone um, the vacation for a later time. And so there was a time where that wasn't an issue. You didn't have to worry about a teen, well, not even just a teenager. That's not fair for me to call them out, but anyone, and just good security practices for all of us as individuals. I see too often that people will be posting when they're down on a vacation in the islands or somewhere. And I always tell people, if you're going to do that, wait till you get back before you share your photos.
Right.
Don't do them while you're down there, because
Hmm.
you're just inviting people to come, if they find out where you live, to come to your home, and, that's going to be a problem for you. So, as Coco
Right.
said, you don't have to be a 350 pound individual no more to be able to do certain aspects of security. A lot of people have people on their security details that just focus on that. They focus on social media. They focus on, cyber and stuff like that. Those are huge issues that we're dealing with, So,
Yeah.
covering a principal now is really more than ever 360 degrees of coverage. It's not just physical,
Mm,
but there are so many aspects to protection that you just didn't see years ago.
mm.
Are there?
Yeah, recently I've gotten into more of residential security,
Mm.
where you literally are watching people's homes. Sometimes they'll tell you, hey, we're going to go out of town for a few days, you know, but we can't afford for you to come and watch the house, but we'll give you, the link to the cameras and you can watch the cameras for us and, we'll pay you that way.
So like a
So a lot of
virtual
times,
stakeout.
exactly. So now, instead of having me sit in front of your house every day, you'll just give me a camera link and now I can watch the cameras that you put in your house and around your house. I can just watch the cameras.
Wow. Okay. So you're doing a lot of monitoring. This is a fascinating subject. I really and the evolution of it. It's just it really. I don't think any of us that are not in the business like you two gentlemen have been, for quite a while now, ever have to think about this kind of thing, and I just find it endlessly fascinating. And I really want to thank you for sharing all this. Now, in terms of future endeavors and side projects and things that you have going on, would you guys care to share? I think Coco, did I see that you do personal training?
I do. I was literally, and because of my health situations, I believe that God is here to help others. I've conquered diabetes. I've conquered rheumatoid arthritis.
Oof.
So, there are people who are, living with these things that are dreadful. And, believe it or not, in 2020, I had pneumonia that turned into COVID
Mm.
and I lost my kidneys.
Oof.
So I no longer have any kidneys. I do dialysis now 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I've been personally training people to let them know, hey, if you want to get bigger, I can help you. If you want to lose weight, I can help you. If you want to control your diet and what you're drinking and what you're intaking, I can help you. So I've gotten into that as well as protection still.
Excellent. Hucky?
Well, mine goes back to, I'll go back to COVID, to the pandemic as well too. And so you guys all probably remember when that was all going on, we all usually had a lot of time on our hands. And so I took it as an opportunity to learn some new skills that I didn't, I wasn't very computer techie at that point. I mean, I could do my job, but I didn't have any graphic arts expertise or anything like that. And so what I did is I took that time to educate myself. I went to YouTube University, learned a lot of information, and now I'm able to do other things that are not just in the security industry. I have a couple YouTube channels. I have a friend, Brown Mark, the bass player. I help him with his YouTube channel as well. And I also write. I have a blog and I have a newsletter. And so those are things that I just took the opportunity during the
Hooky is
pandemic,
such a stud muffin.
whatever. But there's a favorite. I have a quote that I really believe in, guys, and that is that learning never exhausts the mind. And so I look for every
Right.
opportunity to work on personal development.
School is every day.
Yes, sir.
School is every day.
Right.
Listen, and I'm a former music educator, and I always told my students that in my old age, you learn something new every day. You always learn something new. It could be a tiny little bit of factoid or something. You always are learning. If you stop, lifelong learning is the journey. Lifelong learning is the journey, and so I did want to bring up one other thing with you guys, and it just escaped my mind. Old age, but really, this is just I honestly, I feel like this could be another part.
Save it for part two. Save it for
Man,
your part two.
man, you just took the words out my mouth, Coco, because you guys have stories. Oh yes, so you two were to have written books, and
Yes.
Hucky, I know that you had written a book, and now you're kind of thinking maybe to turn it more into a podcast format, which you have. Would you and Coco? I also wanted to ask you, you were to have had a book out called Protecting Royalty, correct?
Yes,
Can you give us an updated status on
and
both?
I would love to find a publicist who is not going to rob me blind for my story.
Okay.
If I
Have
can find a great publicist, that book can come out, even though I
Self-publish it, brother.
constantly add stuff
Self-publish
to
it.
it.
Self-publish your book, man. You don't need no publicist.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll talk off the air.
all right.
A couple friends who have done that. My father actually, my late father, before he passed to dementia, actually had written a book and self-published it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can buy it on Amazon. So, I
Right.
know that can happen.
I've heard that. I've heard that a lot.
Yeah,
But I think that my stories are so entertaining that it
yeah,
just needs that big publishing push. You know,
yeah.
I'm just being greedy. That's all. Just being greedy.
Well, I
But
can't
yeah,
think.
lately I just
Yeah.
had to add more to it. So
Well, you're still here to add stories too. So let me say this to both of you. May you be here for a long time and to continue to share these stories and the knowledge and wisdom that you two have accumulated through all your life experiences and all of the things that you've done. Thank you so much for being with us today. And Jay, did you want to add anything to that?
I just wanted, again, just to echo Kurt's thoughts. Hucky and Big Coco, thank you very much. Your work for us and for Kurt and I is so much more, again, than the glitz and the glamour. It's really the importance of what you do, the seriousness of what you do, and we do appreciate the, like I said in our intro, the no nonsense and practical approach to protecting your clients, and we really respect that.
right.
And Coco and Hockey, share your social media details with us, sir, please.
Yeah, I have a newsletter that I occasionally write print stories. It's called the Bodyguard Insider, and it's on Substack. So if you just go to Substack and search Bodyguard Insider, you will find articles that I have written. Um, yeah, and then I do a lot on Facebook as well too. And I just want to say one last thing, Kirk, that's super important.
Yes, sir.
Boomer Sooners.
Oh
Is
Lord.
that a team? Is that a team? Okay.
Bad year, but yes, it's a
As
team.
far as me, luckily and happily, uh, thanks to our new president, TikTok is back. So OG Big Coco at TikTok.com.
Now that's big with two G's, correct?
um, not in the initials of getting it, yeah, but big two G's for real, actually, yes.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And Instagram as well, right?
The real Big Coco, because there was a fake one out there. I had to delete my page. So now
Shoot.
it's the real Big Coco
All right.
at Instagram.
Excellent. Folks, if you're listening to this on any of the streaming platforms, please hit the like button. If you're watching and listening to this on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe
Please,
button. Please do that. We
please,
would appreciate it.
thank you,
We want to
please.
bring more excellent guests like the two fine gentlemen we have on here today, regardless of what team they played for in college. And as I always say before
Texas,
we close,
Texas, uh,
I always
Texas.
say thank you for that. I needed that on a Monday. Uh, please remember, a rising tide lifts all boats. Jay?
Yes,
Uh,
and
all of
Hucky and Big Coco, thank you very much for your time. I know that we'll be
it,
seeing
man. Thank you, and respect to your homework, man. I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
definitely
We,
our
we
pleasure.
aim to please, man.
Going to come correct. So, guys, thank you again. And for everyone out there listening and watching, just remember, when the universe comes knocking, you have to answer that door. Peace.
Peace.